Hi there, back again. I've run into some problems, as one always does, I suppose. It's difficult to hold, more than two containers in your hand. You start going for three. You can do it. Go for 4 or 5 or 6. I got a lot of containers here, so it's really hard for me to hold them up next to each other and see which neighboring sounds sound especially good together. Also, there's a practical problem, is how are you going to set this on the table? Okay, well, first off, I want to have all of the drum heads on the same plane, just so that I don't have some sticking up higher than others, and that gets you in trouble when you're moving around the collection of sounds. So I'm building this drum upside down. I'm taking the drum heads, which is the bottom of the container, and I'm setting them on the table. And I'm arranging my bottles in whatever configuration. So that way, after they all get glued together, and you lift it off the table, all of the drum heads are in one plane. And then comes the problem, which I'm looking at now, is how do you have this sit on the table? Because some things sound really nice when you hold them well up in the air and everything can vibrate. When you put it on the table, it sounds a little different. You don't have that open bottom for the sounds to come in and out. And yeah, so you gotta, and also there's some vibration against the hard table, so you have to put it on rubber pads, rubber legs, raise the whole thing up on something if you want the air to get out the bottom of the holes. Either that, or you can have your longer containers act as legs, and one stable configuration on just about any surface is a 3-point triangle. So I'm thinking of getting maybe 3 jars. This one I'm still cleaning. Maybe getting 3 jars and spreading them around so that when they're all glued together with the other jars, you turn it upside down, and these 3 containers, the longest ones, will act as legs. And it may sit a little funny on the table, but at least it would sit. And if I had a vibration problem at that point, well, I could take some rubber floor mat material and cut little feet and glue them to the edges of the jar so that it's resting on rubber and it's raised up off the table so the air can get in and out. So that's probably what I'm going to do. And it's not real critical to have the jars exactly the same height, but I do find that this one is a little exaggerated, so I'm going to stick with 3 of these. And okay, that's the highest one. That's like a half step lower. And then this one is, I don't know, a couple steps lower than that. So you can find nice combining sounds in the trash. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. But you gotta organize them in space. That's one problem, and you gotta be practical about that too. So the easiest way to do a cluster drum, I call these cluster drums, is to have 3 of them together. This is like a bongo, but with a 3rd drum, and you can play it with sticks. And you can hold it between your legs, and when you're sitting down, so that's not real awkward. It's not a marching instrument, especially, except you get stick it under an arm and just hit it with one stick. Oh, so also sometimes the sound is not really what you like, and you can always change it. It doesn't necessarily make it any better or worse, but here it is with the lid on it. Different sound, I like it. Nice clear, still has some lingering note quality. It doesn't fade out. Yeah, that sounds pretty good together. not bad. Yeah, what I was going to say, I forgot. But you can, when you have multiple drums, sometimes you can get a little too complicated throwing in everything. So sometimes you want to just stick to 2 notes or maybe 3 notes. So if these drums are fixed in space somehow, you just have to remember the locations and the patterns, and then make your, just keep repeating that circuit. And as long as you're repeating that circuit on time, you don't really have to think about it too much. So then you can do something else out here and leave this on automatic. Okay, I think I was finding that mineral spirits works okay on this adhesive. Sometimes you need lacquer thinner. I don't know. The adhesives and label materials are not uniform. These were coconut oil jugs, containers. And yeah, they had these plastic labels on them. They were printed like a piece of plastic tape with the advertising printed on it. And they pulled off nicely in one big piece. All the plastic came off, no plastic left on the container. But some of the glue was left behind. That's what I'm cleaning off now. And to get the glue off, you have to have petroleum solvents. I mean, I don't imagine everybody has these things at home. I don't know. Maybe everybody does. So this is a complication. Also, you don't really want your kids messing with this stuff if they don't have to, because the solvents can be bad. So you can make musical instruments out of trash and just leave them dirty, or at least with the labels on. They sound differently with the labels on. Absorb some of the vibration energy. So I like to take the labels off. It's time consuming, takes more time than I thought it was, so I don't know. I hope everybody tries this, but it does take time. But I get 2 notes out of that. And let's see how it compares with this one. Maybe I'll leave one of them out. This one in the group for some reason. That's reason enough. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to pick those 3 as a triangular cluster in the middle, and then if I can figure out ways to add more onto the side, I will. Unfortunately, the hot melt glue does not always stick forever. And I don't know why sometimes the joints let go, but they do sometimes, and you gotta just glue it back together. So if you make your instrument using only hot melt glue, you run that risk. So what I do is, after I get it all glued together, I'll take some yarn and wrap it around. It's decorative, at the same time it's holding everything together, so if the glue lets go, things don't fall apart. So I think I'll be putting this instrument together with a combination of hot melt glue and yarn. That's what you want. Okay, so when you get a glue gun, get a good one. They're more expensive, but they last longer. This one is DeWalt. Very good. Has a ceramic heating unit in the front too. You don't want to leave your tools or your gun lying on its side on the table. Sometimes you get melted glue getting inside the gun, and you want to make first off, make something like this. This is an old baking tin, and some wire, and the gun just fits in it like that. So when you're done with the gun, don't set it on the table, set it in its special holding rig, and then all the hot glue, it just drips out the end. And I have it fall in a little container here so I catch the hot glue. You could do something with it, I guess, after you recover it. So at any rate, here we go. Okay, pen is a little on the dry side, but I'm not going to go chase down the newer one right now. Okay, so the can is serving as more or less a square. So those marks should be good enough. So if I put 4 dabs on that and then quickly bring it together, I should be able to adhere to the bottles that are already started in collection. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so I'm using a minimum of glue. Usually I use more, but I'm conserving glue a little bit. I guess that's mostly it. But I'm counting more on the twine to hold it all together. There we have a 3-drum bongo drum, and if you use it delicately, you can use it just as it is with the glue. But people get a little rough with instruments sometimes, so I'm going to do some yarn wrapping on this. This is the present state of completion, which is just the beginning. So I used some yarn. I did just 1 strand of yarn. It's probably not super strong. It's not like military grade, but it might be good enough. So what I'm going to do is take a little hot melt glue and actually glue the yarn to the bottle a little bit to help keep it in place. And let's see. Okay, so I'm putting a little bit of glue over the knots that I tied in the yarn, just so that they don't come untied. And that pretty much counts as tacking it down on this model. So let's go on to the next one. Okay, so you don't have to use a lot, and don't linger too long with the hot gun, because you can deform some of the bottle plastic material. I think I'm about ready for another stick of hot melt glue, so that goes in the end here, and off you go. Very simple equipment to use. So this glue will hopefully keep the yarn in place. Okay, so turn off the hot gun. Okay, so this, as soon as the glue cools, it's hard. It's still a little warm. But, you see, everything is pretty well held together. The geometry in it is good. There's triangulation. Sounds pretty good. When we put it on the table, now that's going to be a different story. It's not bad in itself. So that's the difference. Not bad, I like this too. So the feet I was planning to put on the bottom to cushion it and raise it up off the ground were to be made out of rubber floor mat material. This is going to be just a quick rubber foot. This is some edge stripping that comes on the floor mat material. So I'm just going to rescue a couple of these. 3 of them. Okay, these are the 3 feet I'm going to use. And I'm just going to cut a slit up one side. And then that should just clip onto the edge of the bottle down here. So this is where the progress stands now. I took a jar lid and I put it on this drum here, and that changed the sound. I like it better now. So you might consider this as being about the simplest configuration to put together. Just a triangle, basically. And the string helps to hold it together in case the glue lets go. And I have a rubber foot here. If this gets loose and falls off, you can always glue it back on with hot melt glue. And I glued one of the pad feet to the top of this lid also to keep it from touching the table. So there's this is the simplest unit, and also you could continue adding on more units around this and have a more complex instrument. So here's the smaller set of containers, and I've tied some string around them to hold them together. And now I'm going to glue the string in place so it doesn't slide off, because it's a little precarious in some places. these are the three that I'm going to use to make the mini set. So, got the bottles glued together. Now I'm getting ready to tie the string. I go around twice, and that helps, extra friction helps keep this yarn in place. Okay, and I hold it down with one finger, make a square knot. Right over left, left over right, or right over left, right under left, whatever helps you remember it. And I'm thinking, I kind of hope that one string would be enough for this little group. Let's see. Okay, so we've got two interesting little clusters to touch on. The way this is growing now, we've got different percussive sounds, but it might be fun to add something like maracas also attached to the instrument, so that whoever, let's say 2 people are playing this, I guess you could have 3 even, it could get a little complex, but You could have somebody doing maracas in there too, and it's nice to get variety in the rhythm section. Okay, things have taken a turn, so I'm taking some rubber floor mat and I'm cut a strip and I'm gluing it to the bottles around the edge. So not only will this help hold things together if they get jostled around, but also it gives me something I can hang on or clip on other small instruments like maracas. So at any rate, it's coming along, and I'll show you when I get a little further along with it. This is the finished instrument, and you can see it has a belt of rubber floor mat around the edge at the top. Hopefully that will add some strength to it. And also it gives me a place to attach on extra instruments. Now these instruments here are maracas. And you can see this is a pill container here with some steel BBs, municiones, in it. This is a silicone plunger from a silicone cartridge with some maraca seeds. And this is a disposable shot glass, I guess, with maraca seeds in it. And they are glued to pieces of floor mat, and the floor mat is glued to the floor mat belt. Okay, so these over here are tin cans. Depending on, they sound a little differently. If you strike it with a harder surface, they sound a little sharper. The drumstick I'm going to be using right now, anyway, is a piece of wooden dowel material. Sometimes you can get this at the supermarket, like pincho sticks, they call them here. And I have, the head is made out of yarn with silicone rubber wrapped around the tip. And this bottle here I added on the side is just a juice bottle. So you can see it has a good variety of sounds, and gives you a percussion rhythm section. So that's it. So I hope you've enjoyed the instrument. I hope you can make some out of trash. It's cheap. Okay, the old standards, click like, subscribe, and leave your comments below. Have fun. Bye.